This is Valerie Guillaume, reporting for human rights abuse in Canada. What I have to report in this video is absolutely shocking as far as providing the evidence to the public and to the rest of the world involving corruption and human rights abuse coming from a particular Canadian government official. In this case, I'm reporting on corruption and racism coming from the municipal level of government in Toronto. It's coming from Peter Wallace, who is the city manager for Toronto, and the absolute racist actions coming from the head of the city, because he's the head of the city as far as his administrative role as a city manager, and what that means for a particular individual or group belonging to a particular group. Particular individual who belongs to a particular group. Now, the city manager, Peter Wallace, as well as the ombudsman for the city of Toronto, Fiona Cream, have both been requested to investigate some other city officials. What he has done in regards to this investigation is to suppress it and to cover up for the city officials, and particularly those in the municipal licensing standards, the heads of that division, and I'm talking about the executive director Tracy Cook and Mark Straga, as well as Maria Angelucci. Now, if you will recall, in a couple of previous videos I've done, one of which where I had gone to the office of Peter Wallace and demand an answer in regards to my inquiry, I had contacted his office to initiate an inquiry as far as the criminal actions of Mark Straga and Tracy Cook in regards to their investigations of some Toronto landlords. Peter Wallace himself has acted corruptly in this investigation by suppressing the charges, the investigation against Mark Straga and Tracy Cook. And I actually had his executive assistant, Julie Scorcello, came on the record with her hypocritical statements, claiming that the city manager was investigating those persons when no evidence has shown that that is the case. What the evidence has shown is that they are working to undermine the investigation against these city officials, and what it has also shown is that behind their action is absolute racism. Racism that's coming towards me personally, directly, as well as a systematic racism, where these people feel that those persons should not be investigated by someone like me. Now, the city of Toronto has more than 2 million people from all different ethnic backgrounds. And for Peter Wallace, who is the head of the city, to take the position that he has taken, that he can openly act racist towards a member of a particular group, in this case, that racism is directed towards me, is absolutely not acceptable. So I am here to expose his actions in this video, because he has to answer to the public, he has to answer to City Council for his actions. Because if you realize, with reports coming from myself and other people involving Canadian government officials, there is a huge hypocritical stance as far as they're concerned, meaning that what they project to the public and to the rest of the world has nothing to do with the truth. That's not the reality of what's going on. So when they act racist towards me and try to suppress an investigation and try to cover up about other city officials who has broken the law and act corruptly, simply because the person who initiated that inquiry happened to be from a particular ethnic group that they feel that they should not answer to, that's simply proving the existence of racism among Canadian government officials, because that's basically what it's about. They don't feel that they should be made answerable to somebody like me. And so this, in a sense, there's a little bit of humor in that, because we have to realize that these people who are put in the position of trust, they don't feel as if that they need to answer to everyone in this society, only a select few. So me having the opportunity to expose their actions, not just to the rest of Canadian society, but to the entire world, is a blogger, as somebody who's in the alternative media. They couldn't have chosen to do this to the worst person, because they know that I will expose their actions. So where do we go from there, from here? Where do we go when we have the city manager for a major Canadian city acting corrupt? Where do we go from there? Does he continue to occupy his position? Does he continue to protect those other city officials like himself who has broken the law and is acting corrupt? Do we need to put up with this type of racism coming from the city manager or from the city ombudsman? We shouldn't have to do that. If Canada is a society and a government that answers to the human rights standards that's set by the United Nations or by the International Court, and to deal with these type of racism, then why is it that these people who are in local government has been allowed to carry out their illegal actions and to continue to occupy their position, to continue to mock the intelligence of the public, to continue to mock these laws, these international laws, which says that every person has the right to be treated as a human being? And what about the Canadian law under the so-called Constitution, Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom? What about the right to be treated fairly and equally, and to have equal access to the law and benefit of the law? Am I not entitled to that? And does somebody else who look like me not entitled to that? Why should a member of the public have to put up with this type of racism coming from somebody who holds one of the highest offices at the local level of government, in this case Peter Wallace? So I would like him to answer to members of the public, and I would also like him to answer to City Council for his action as far as his racist actions towards me as a member of the public in not investigating my inquiry, and also in